Well, hi, hello, everybody. My name is Turk, and welcome back to the Grouch Couch. Around here, we do all different kinds of TTRPG things, but today, I'm going to be walking you through how I prep and how I get ready and how I study to get ready for a solo TTRPG. Because I really do feel like whenever you're doing a solo TTRPG, you should treat it with just as much respect and effort as you do if you were to be dungeon mastering a normal campaign with a full group. With a little bit of a disclaimer, though, we're not going to be talking exactly about how to get resources or what resources to be using, although I probably will mention a few. I do have another video about resources and other kind of stuff for solo TTRPGs to check out, but this one is more about preparing yourself and getting ready to delve deep into a solo story. So I've got a few steps, and they don't need to be done out in an exact order, but also it could kind of just be a little bit of a checklist. And step one, I think, whenever it comes to getting ready to do a solo TTRPG, is you need to pick a theme, and that may sound obvious and a little bit crazy, but whenever I prep, I always start with my theme. Whatever I'm feeling at the time. Could be zombies if we're in fall, could be sci-fi if we're in the winter, or fantasy if I'm feeling heroic. But the important thing here is I don't stop at just the theme. I try to narrow it down to a single sentence. So if we're doing sci-fi, I'll say, okay, we're going to be doing a space western opera with a bunch of people on a ship trying to survive. You know, like one single sentence. Big shout out to my solo zombie series. Whenever I was doing that, I came up with a sentence that was a zombie apocalypse, right? But it's a brother trying to survive, find his other brother in the apocalypse and build a family, right? It was a family drama apocalypse. That's kind of what I went with. So it's important to come up with a single sentence that could drive your campaign for a long time, a big theme, right? So get specific because it's going to help you lock in emotionally and it's going to help you lock into your ideas moving on in the future. Next, this one's also pretty obvious, but we need to pick a system, all right? Once I've got my theme, I need to pick a system and pick a TTRPG that is going to fit, all right? And if you're trying to find a TTRPG that's, it's meant for solo play, it necessarily doesn't have to be, all right? There are other resources out there in the world that could help you play any kind of TTRPG as a solo play. Shout out to Mythic GME 2E, all right? It has our backs in this. The Mythic GME 2E allows you to play literally any TTRPG solo. You can just plug and play it on literally anything, and it's my favorite plug and play solo tool that you could use. I'm sure I have a video up on the channel for you to check out where I kind of rant about how awesome that book is. But when it comes to picking our TTRPG of choice, we want to pick one that fits with our theme. And also, this is kind of a fun thing because as a solo player, I'm sure you were a dungeon master at one point and you've probably picked up a whole bunch of books and have a whole bookshelf just full of stuff that you never got to play because you had a group at a time and then that group left or whatever, and you can finally sit down and play this TTRPG by yourself. Those books are no longer going to go to waste because we're still going to play them, and that's important. So make sure to look through your backlog before you dive into brand new things that are out there in the world, because I'm sure you have something already that might be able to save you cash and get you going quickly. But if you're looking for new things, it's always important to research whatever TTRPG you're going to play, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But if you want to pick something up brand new, remember, we do have a DriveThruRPG affiliate link you can use down in the description to help support the show if you decide to pick up anything for your solo adventures on DriveThruRPG. All right, so our third step is kind of an important one, and a lot of people don't think about this, but I call it the research and absorb step, all right? We're gonna go into absorption mode. We have our TTRPG and we have our theme. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch playthrough of that TTRPG. We're gonna watch reviews of that TTRPG just to see if it is what we want, but also we're gonna read comics, we're gonna watch television shows or watch movies that kind of deal with that same theme. And one thing I like to do is I let the videos of the reviews or whatever it is play in the background while I do chores, kind of feeding into my subconscious, getting my subconscious going, not only on that theme, but kind of absorbing those rules into my subconscious, getting me ready. And while I'm listening to these things, because at this point, we're probably waiting for our brand new books to arrive, or we're waiting for a good time to be able to sit down and start reading the rules ourselves. One thing I like to do is if I hear something really good, I'm like, I'll just bookmark it and I'll come back to it later, because we're just listening to things in our subconscious with our headphones on while we're doing our chores or doing our work or whatever it is. Right now, I'm actually prepping for an Ironsworn Starforged campaign that I'm going to be doing right here on the channel, and that's what inspired me to actually do this video, because I'm going through all of these steps and I realized that not everyone probably does this, and this is the way that I do it. And by the way, if you have ideas for how you do things, or if I miss anything in this video, do leave it in the comments so we can help each other out on our solo adventures. But the important thing is I'm still waiting for things for my Starforged book to arrive. There's a couple of cards and some other supplemental things that I'm waiting to get here. So while I'm waiting for those things to arrive, I'm just listening to things. So subconsciously taking in everything to deal with this book, right? But as a quick side note, make sure not to get burnt out on your theme before you even begin, all right? So make sure to plan out your time wise. Which brings me to step number 4, and it's weird that I put this here, but you'll see why. You need to find extras and support materials, right? While you're listening to those videos and stuff like that, you might hear one of these video reviewers or one of these people that are playing the game that you're gonna play. They might be like, oh, I got these cool cards from their website, or I picked out, this awesome map that I got from this place or that place. It's been helping me a lot. And you're going to hear those things and you're going to be like, oh, hey, I should probably pick that up too, because that's going to help me out a lot. So you're going to search around and you're going to check for supplement, fan-made content, or even official extras that might be out there in the world to help support your game. All right. There are many solo-friendly games that have card decks, journals, or world generators. And Starforged, for example, does have multiple helpful tools that help set up and help play so much easier. And we're doing this for ourselves. So even still, if you want to buy yourself a cool pair of dice that's going to fit your character or fit the theme into your brand new solo play, you should do it, because we need to treat ourselves in this process the same way that we would treat our players, right? If not better. If we want to buy one of our old players a pair of dice, hoping that they would come back and play, want to be more interested in our campaign, it will get them into it. Well, we need to do that for ourselves as well. We need to treat ourselves as our new player. And this brings me to step 5, all right? This one is actually really important. You may not think it is, but it is. You need to set up a dedicated play space, okay? This is critical. I built a dedicated play space just for solo play. I've got it right here in front of me. This here's my dedicated solo area play space that I like to play my solo TTRPGs in. And it's important to set up a place that is clean and well lit and cozy, all right? A place that is going to make you want to sit and just dive into the story. And it's also very important that you set up a play space that you don't have to clean up every single week. A place where you can keep your things laid out, so whenever you're ready to play again, you just sit down and start playing. Because it's such a pain in the butt to have to set up everything and go through everything every time that you play, you're going to be discouraged to do it. And it's just you playing, right? So there's no one else pushing you to play this game. It's only you. So if you're going to stop yourself, do you know what I mean? Right. So just leave a nice little setup wherever you can. And you can get like a TV tray off of Amazon for like $10 and just set up on the TV tray. It doesn't even need to be like a place in a dedicated room. You could do it in the middle of your living room and have everyone else running around you, because we're going to probably be listening in on our headphones, listening to themed music, which we're going to get to in a bit. So it doesn't matter where your play space is, as long as you have a dedicated play space set up that you do not have to clean up. Which brings me to step 6. This is optional. This is just something that I like to do, right? I like to create a vibe playlist, all right? I make a playlist, mostly almost all instrumentals. I'm talking lo-fi, ambient, or thematic scores. No lyrics, just all mood. And this is actually kind of a fun thing to do while you're waiting for your other supplements to arrive, because you might be listening to some stuff and realize that, oh, I don't actually want to do a drama story. I think I want to do a horror story. This music here has actually inspired me, and I'm really into this. And your vibe may change depending on what cool music you might find based around your theme, right? Music is important because it's going to keep you in the zone. It's going to keep you and help you to stay focused. And it's good to have a pair of headphones wherever your play space is, especially if it's somewhere busy, just where you could put in your headphones and just vibe out and roll your dice, all right? Remember, we're carving out time for ourselves whenever we do this, so it's very important to do that. And I mean, what's the difference? If you're a dungeon master for a campaign, you're going to set up a cool playlist for your whole group, right? So why not set up a playlist for yourself? Myself, I kind of set up just like 100 songs and I put them on shuffle. And sometimes whenever a song comes up that's a little bit more overly dramatic, I know in my solo play that this is a dramatic scene all of a sudden. It's kind of like an extra little random roll table, and then the music shifts over to something else, you know? All right, this is step 7. We're going to be keeping a notebook, all right? You always need to have a solo notebook. And this notebook needs to be dedicated to this specific campaign. It can't be one that has a bunch of notes from some other campaign, and it also doesn't need to be anything special. This one right here is my campaign for my notebook for Ironsworn Starforged that I just started. It's just a notepad, right? And it's good to have these because before you play, all right, you're going to be coming up with ideas while you're just doing things, while you're listening to those other reviews, while you're walking around, while you're watching TV or whatever you're doing. You might think, oh, that might be cool to have in my campaign. And you're going to pull out your notebook and you're going to write it down. And honestly, if you're not playing analog, my next campaign is going to be all books and paper. I'm excited for it. Get away from the screens for a little bit. But if you're doing something digital, you can also do a Google Doc or a notepad on your phone, Google Notes, whatever. But it needs to be a dedicated one just for that thing. And something that you can have with you all the time, right? On the go. Because when inspiration hits, it's going to hit randomly. You might be in a subway and see a guy doing something and think, oh, I want to add that in my campaign. So this notebook right here is your handy dandy brains save file. So keep it handy. So for example, this one's mine. It's just got a bunch of of stuff in it that I just started doing this, so it's pretty fresh already, but I just got like titles and like randomly character stuff. Like my character's looking for their lost species. Are they the last of their kind? And because I know that Ironsworn almost has all exclusively humans in their book, so I was like, what if I am an alien and I'm the last of my kind and I'm trying to find everyone else? And also I put in like inspirational stuff that I want to watch later. Final Space, Firefly, Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Because that's what we're dealing with here. Also random music that I might hear that I'm going to make sure I put into my playlist, right? This is just stuff. You just write things down, right? Next is step 8, okay? We're talking about reading our book in our zone. We have our supplemental stuff now and we're ready to start reading. And the reason we did everything else first is because reading and learning the rules is part of the ritual. It's part of this whole thing. So you're going to take your core book that you just got, you're going to take it to your dedicated play space, you're going to you're going to light a candle, you're going to play that playlist, and you're going to immerse yourself in the world before you even start rolling dice. While you're learning the rules themselves, you're going to be in your zone, because this is a part of it. Learning the rules is a part of everything. So getting the book and reading the PDFs, even if it were, you have to dedicate some time to reading in your zone, because it's going to build anticipation. It's going to get you ready. It's going to show you what you need, what you don't need, and what you might want to add even to your play space before you even get started. So this is important to read in your zone. And step 9, now that we're reading our books, we're going to organize our references, okay? We're going to highlight important pages. We're going to use bookmarks. We're going to be using post-it notes, all right? If you're using a PDF, you can bookmark the important pages that you might read, like a rules reference that you're going to want to print out later. You're going to write down that page number somewhere so you have it, because whenever you print, you can actually just pick specific pages that you want to print, and you could print those out just so you can have them easily for your references. If you're using physical stuff, you're going to be using the bookmarks. You're going to be using post-it notes, because just as important as session flow is when you're doing it with a bunch of people, it's important to have that same flow when you're playing by yourself. If you have to stop for 30 minutes and re-reference rules and figure out where those rules were, it's going to be a pain in the butt. It's going to discourage you from wanting to come back and continue your story. So make sure you have all those references, those sticky notes. This book's brand new. There's nothing in it yet, but it will be full of post-it notes by the time I'm done. All right, so I've got some final thoughts here and just some recappy things for you, okay? You can literally solo any kind of TTRPG or system that you want. Obviously, a source book, you know, if it's telling a story, it might be hard to do that, but a theme or like a setting or anything else like that, or any kind of random TTRPG, you can solo it. And I bet that there's already solo supplements for that thing out there in the world. But if there's not, Mythic 2E is the best tool that could help you do it, all right? And I know I have a video on the channel somewhere you can check out, but me ranting about Mythic 2E and how awesome it is, all right? So do check that out. And some folks like to say that there are easier tools for beginners. Some people actually say that Ironsworn is the easiest one for a beginner to get into. But I think Mythic 2E is the most important foundation for beginners ever, because I personally disagree. And I think Mythic is the best way to go, because it's flexible, powerful, and creative. So if you are new to solo TTRPGs, I do want to say that you should obviously watch other solo players, see how they do it, see how their brains work, see how they come up with their ideas and the flows of their games. And I have a couple solo series here on the channel, but if you don't want to look at my dumb face and listen to my dumb voice, there is one of my favorite solo creators out there. He's kind of one of the bigger ones, but his name's Trevor, and he's from Me, Myself, and Die. And seriously, that guy rocks. Yeah, he does voices. He's amazing. His flow of everything. He just does such a good job. So shout out to Trevor for Me, Myself, and Die if you want to check out some solo stuff. And that's how I prep, all right? I pick a theme, pick a system, I pick a vibe, all right? And I let the story unfold. It's about finding joy in the narrative and carving out time just for yourself. Let me know if you have any other ways that you like to prep for your solo games, or if you think I might have missed any kind of important details. Leave them down there in the comments so our other friends can read them. And if you want more stuff, make sure to check the comments, because there might be some more useful information down there from our fellow creators and stuff like that. And if you want to see my Starforged series coming up soon, make sure to subscribe, and you can also check out my Walking Dead series. It's got like 8 episodes, I think, at the recording of this video, but I don't know how long it's going to go for. I'm probably going to pick it back up in fall or something like that. So like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the rules. I have been Turk. Roll on that, weirdos.